Hey guys, welcome to episode 31 of the Motor Marvel podcast, and we have a special guest, SydneyCarGirl, Natasha.
Hi, thank you for having me.
You're very welcome. Before we get onto the podcast, I just want to say thanks to our sponsors, Hard Hat Watches and Only Cars, and Exhaust Australia.
That's the one.
And that's about it. But other than that, let's get onto the podcast. So Natasha, tell everyone a bit about yourself.
Hi, so I'm SydneyCarGirl. Natasha Zaboni, as you may or may not have seen on Instagram. So what should we talk about? Maybe go on about a little bit about my background.
So your background, you've got a rich family history in racing.
In motorsport.
Explain.
So, long story short, my grandfather was, so my family's from Switzerland, and my granddad was racing in the Swiss Alps since he was a very young boy, so since the 1950s or 60s. And he was in the Swiss Championships. He started off with actually a Ford Escort, so he was zooming through the Swiss Alps. And then he went to race with his Alfa Romeo as well. So he started to race in Monza, Nürburgring and Le Mans as well throughout Europe. So they were literally running this little restaurant in a town. It's in St. Gala, like in Zurich, but it's called Ruti, so it's a very small town. And they literally were running this restaurant and working like 20 hours a day to fund the race cars, my grandma and my granddad. So that was his passion. So he basically went through with racing and funded as much as he could. And then each weekend they would put the car in a trailer and drive across to like Germany or Italy or France to compete in the different championships.
Oh, wow.
It's a good thing over there, right, is you can do that. You can chuck the car on, you can drive on.
It's an hour or two, it's totally fine.
Can't do that here.
No.
Correct. And like where they are, like you can drive through the Swiss Alps in an hour or two. So a lot of the rally races on through the mountains as well, which is really cool. So that's kind of my granddad's background, and then my uncle, obviously being influenced by my granddad, started racing, and I grew up around that because he was in Australia from like the late 90s. So Safety Stop Motorsport, if anyone's seen it, that's the family business.
So what sort of category you guys are in?
So it was in GT3. So he started in Mirage. So when I was a child growing up, we'd be on the track at like Oran Park Raceway, which is now defunct and closed.
I remember Oran Park. I've got some memories of myself as a little one going to Oran Park when my dad used to race.
Amazing.
So I've got some memories of that one as well. A long time ago.
They built on top of that now, lots of houses, but that's gone. So he was racing his Mirage. Wanted to obviously follow in his footsteps of his father, my granddad. And then he got into a few other cars. I think he had like a Megane RS, and then he bought the Porsche GT3. So that's when he started racing the GT Championship. Started doing like Bathurst 12 Hour and some of the bigger races. And in the like 2010 to 2015 era, the Bathurst 12 Hour wasn't as big as it is now. So there wasn't big international teams now. Like they're throwing millions into one race.
So it's one of the events I took Sal to. What did we go? A couple of years ago.
Honestly, best event.
And Sal had never been before.
Oh really?
And I said we got to go. So we did it. We got up early. We went early. We watched it. And Sal was just like, "This is the best."
Insane,
not like it's starting in the dark, the glowing race.
So cool.
You know, the brakes come in the first corner, the noise, everything. It is
amazing.
An amazing.
It's just a different soundtrack to the V8. The V8's the same noise. Not saying it's bad, but it's the same noise, the same note. Where with the 12 Hour, you have flat sixes, straight six turbos. You've got V10s. There's an array of motors, and it's like a different soundtrack every time, and it's just beautiful. So Nick's brother raced in that 12 Hour.
Oh really?
He did. So it was one of the years my brother won the Bathurst 1000 in a V8, and he won the 12 Hour in a McLaren.
Wow, what's his name?
Jonathan Webb.
There we go. Amazing, guys. Look him up. That's cool.
So back to your
I spent like most of my teen years of my childhood on the racetrack here in Australia as well.
Wow.
And that was like some of my fondest memories was when he had the GT3 and he was racing the GT Championship. That 5-6 a.m. start where like all the engines would start and you see the lights coming down Mount Panorama. It's just with my granddad here as well, he was so proud. He had his little old timer as well.
That's so cool.
Didn't trust the actual lap time, so he'd be sitting there timing.
Is he on the pace or where's he going? What's happening?
And then they bought the Gallardo as well, which was manufactured by Rada Engineering.
I saw that on your Instagram,
so
that's awesome.
Still got that. My granddad's in his, my uncle's in his 60s now, so he hasn't been racing as professionally anymore. But that was kind of like my childhood, like that peak motorsport era for my family was where I was really immersed in the motorsport, which is kind of where my love for cars started. And they obviously had me
a little bit the same. We've got a similar story. So
amazing.
Yeah. Again, my father being in race cars still does. He still races some historic race cars.
Your dad is he's got no fear.
Early 70s.
Fear.
He's still driving an open top sports car around Phillip Island at about 300 kilometres an hour.
Good on him.
And I don't know about good on him.
So he retired at 75.
Good on him.
I still think it's
open top.
It's crazy. I'm like, I don't know if I would be at 75 be wanting to do that. It's a lot. Look, commend, and he obviously has a passion for it, and same with your family, and you go, that's fantastic. And they keep doing it. So
your dad doesn't have any fear.
Look, you can't have any fear really if you're doing that. Like, I don't think I could. It's not a me thing. Yeah. Even at this age.
It's like that Ford vs Ferrari quote: "Life starts at 7,000 RPM."
Yeah.
Also the SydneyCarGirl quote. Stole it from them. No copyright. So there's some of my fondest memories, as you can obviously relate to. I think it's just an incredible. It's an incredible atmosphere when you're on these tracks, like, you know, especially at Sydney Motorsport Park and at Bathurst Mount Panorama. I think they're some of my amazing childhood memories.
So how has that then transitioned for you as far as what you now personally, I guess, experience and enjoy? So is it, do you like the racetrack stuff, or what sort of, I guess, what is it about cars, motorsport, all this that really drives you now, sort of, I guess, enjoyment-wise?
Yeah, so that's a really good question. So I was go-karting as a child, and I never pursued the racing side of it. I was a bit more of a girly girl and wanted to do other things, and I was good in school and I studied, but the motorsport kind of got parked for a little while. And then when I finished school, I actually went into finance. So I went into investment banking, and I was like, great, you know, I can fund my car passion because I wanted all these cars, and my family was like, if you want it, you got to work for it. I'm not just going to hand you out cars. I was like, all right, no worries. So I think the first car that I got was a Honda Civic Type R, a red one.
Which one?
Like a 2005, 2006.
EP3?
Yeah, EP3, and it needed like a full respray, but that was really cool. I loved it. I had it for a little while. Then I bought a Fiat 500C, and I thought, it doesn't go quick enough. It's like a little lawnmower. And then I got an Abarth 595 in manual.
What did you think about that? Because we were thinking about buying that for the channel at one point.
Probably, 12 months ago or so? Talking to Mum and Aaron about picking one up for a bit of fun.
No, I would definitely get one.
You would get another one?
Honestly, that was one of the best cars I've ever owned. Hands down.
See, a lot of people say that. I'm telling you that.
I hear good things about them. They're a lot of fun. I've heard.
They are.
Everyone tells me they don't make ginormous power. But
they're light.
The feeling you get in it is so fun. It's got so much character. So that's funny because they're just like the 12th, probably the 12th person told me that. Like that they're insane.
And they got a lot of them will have the Monza exhaust as well, so they just sound so good. Like you hear the burble in the car parts. And I had a little red manual one. It was just the best. My granddad's like, you need to have this Bambino because, you know, when you work in the city, you got to have a small car that's going to be able to park places. I'm like, it's not like Europe where the roads are small, but all right, I'll give it a go. And they wanted me to get the Abarth, and I didn't regret it. It was one of the best cars I've owned.
Yeah, see? But we were going to get a manual. We're never going to get there. So I've driven the single clutch. Shit. So bad. The single clutch. The single clutch version. Like, okay, if you're thrashing it, I get it. It makes sense. But around town, when you're driving it, it is the most annoying fucking gearbox in the world, this dual single clutch. But the manual version is phenomenal. I've driven a manual Abarth, and it's mad.
A lot of fun.
It's a lot of fun. It's so easy to drive.
So you had the Abarth, then what was next?
So then I kind of got into the car scene because I'm like, how can I didn't kind of want to always associate myself with my family. I kind of wanted to be a bit more independent.
Fair enough.
And I had a lot of friends that were into cars, and my first boyfriend had a RX-7. So we were coming out of school, and, you know, we were getting into the car scene, and I was like, I felt a bit like I was starting to hang around more of the Euro car scene people. And obviously growing up...
influenced a little bit.
Exactly. So I think one of the first cars I drove when I got my license at 16, so that was 10 years ago now, was an E90 M3, so that was my uncle's daily. And he basically, I passed the L's test, went out onto Mandan Road in Girraween, sat me in the middle of the road, was like, now we're going to learn to drive. And I was like, oh my God, there's a V8, M3, I was like 16, and he's like, no, put your foot down and go. And I think from that moment I was hooked on European cars.
Specifically BMW?
I'd say so. Like my uncle was racing Nürburgring in the M3 and M4, so I'd always seen photos of.
Bit of a family passion around that as well.
Yeah, exactly. And my uncle's also in the Porsche Hall of Fame, so I think I've been kind of driven towards European cars. No bias.
They do make some great cars.
They do.
So it's hard to not be biased.
Correct.
Or lean towards them,
especially the Italians.
Exactly.
I agree with that. No. The Germans do it better.
The Germans do it better. So you went from the Abarth, and so then what did you go into?
When I was in these car circles, I thought I'd really like to have something European. So I wanted a car that was track worthy, but also good daily. So I actually ordered a C63S. Now, mind you, I was 21, just finished uni, and I was like, I'm going to go and get the best car I can get. Now, my version of the best car was how much money can I spend? How much can I finance? At 21, living at home. Yeah. So that car was going to take 12 months to come. Now, I had sold the Abarth. I had no car. So I was like, what am I going to do? So then this yellow A45S came up, and the guy I still remember called me. I'm sitting in the bed doing my last uni assignment, and he's like, oh, by the way, some guy just defaulted on the finance for this yellow AMG. I'm like, yellow? Bright yellow brakes, AMG performance pack. I was like, I do like the A45S. How much is it? And he did a really good deal. And I thought, if I can get it today and I don't have to wait, I went and drove it. I was hooked, and that was...
They're a great car. One of my first Europeans was, I jumped into one of the first A45s.
Amazing.
Such a great car.
I thought the handling, like it just sticks, like the all drive, the 4MATIC system is amazing. Agreed. I just fell in love with that car, and I had it for 4 years.
Yep.
So that was probably also like one of my favourite cars. I just loved all the cars I had. If I could keep it forever, I would have.
Oh, we have those chats occasionally. I'm like, I sold this and I should have kept it, and maybe this, or I had a chance to buy that, but I didn't, or maybe, and you car regrets. Like, it's life.
Biggest regret I ever sold was my Evo 6.
Nah, you tell me that all the time.
Yeah, I had an Evo 6.
Yeah.
You had a TME. You had the better version to mine.
Yes, and I saw that too.
And mine was the copycat of yours. Mine was trying to be a TME. So I had an Evo 6 with the whole bodywork like a TME, so it looked exactly the same, but it wasn't. It was fake. It was like putting a sock in your pants. It was completely false.
I had the actual TME everyone wants. I had the red one with the decals and everything, and that was like the
that's the rare one. That's the sort of
that's the one that's sort of that everyone wants. So I had that for a couple of years, but what I did with it when I bought it was I built the crap out of it and cracked the shit out of it.
Driven, not hidden, right?
Very much driven, and it was my track car for a number of years. But with all older cars, all I experienced was many problems, and many dollars later trying to fix these problems and keep this car going. I just went, I'm done. So it's one of the cars I'm like, when it drove and when everything was working, so good, loved it. But everything else probably not quite so much. Yeah, there was a lot of time and money invested in that car to keep it going. So I don't miss that.
And I think that's why as well with the AMG, I knew like I had extended warranty. And the car would it's literally made for the track. So I tracked that. I think I did a 145 in it the first time I took it to Sydney Motorsport Park.
That's pretty bloody good.
Full Druitt circuit. So that was good. And my uncle and stuff were like, what? Like you did that? I'm like, yeah, follow the racing line. So I think the A45 was an incredible car.
I'd agree with you on that.
And that was also a big step up from the 595 as well. And I was really young.
A lot more power.
A lot of power. I think 420 horsepower, and it's all-wheel drive. So. And
what were the bars like? 160, 150? if
that manual.
They're 100 and something. They're 150, 60 kilowatts. They're not that much.
Yeah. But you don't really feel that it doesn't feel slow because it's such a light little car. You can just throw it around the corners, especially with the manual transmission.
Yeah. And then your A45, you sold that, and now you've got
the G80 M3. So there's a story behind that.
Great car.
So I thought I'm going to be financially responsible. I was in investment banking for 8 years, and I knew last year that I was not happy anymore, and I kind of wanted to change my career, but I wasn't sure what I was going to do. And with that, having a mortgage and stuff, you have to be a bit more financially responsible.
When you grow up, you kind of got to...
Yeah. Exactly. So I thought, what am I going to do? I went and got a Volkswagen, a T-Roc R. I have a flower business on the side, and I thought that's a great car that I can just chuck the flowers in. It still goes. Like I liked the Golf R, same engine. Yeah. I lasted 5 months with that car, and I drove into BMW, and I'm like, give me an M2, M3, M4. I want to drive everything that you've got that's like above 350 horsepower. And he's like, all right. So we went through all the cars, and then when I walked in and I saw the black G80, and he goes, it's manual, I was like, sold. Like, that's it. I'll take it. And I traded in the T-Roc. I lost 30 grand on it in 5 months. But I do not regret buying a G80 because that's a completely different experience.
Oh, it's a great car.
A rear-wheel drive, manual, like...
The G80 is a fantastic BMW. Funny enough, when they first came out, everyone hated them.
I hated them as well.
I hated them. And then when I saw the first one on the road, in green, in that like goblin green,
nice.
I was like, that looks freaking awesome. And it looks menacing.
Yeah.
I'd agree.
You had the M2.
Yeah, I recently had an M2.
Nice.
So I've had a F80 M3. And I've had the recent G87 M2.
Yeah.
Just trying to think what it was. Yeah.
Nice.
Both fun cars.
Nice.
The F80 probably wasn't really the car for me. I love the look of it and I loved everything. It was a great car. But my problem was I used it as the daily to get around and drop the kids off and everything else.
Yeah.
Yeah, this thing was just sideways at like every opportunity. I'd be in the wet with the kids in the back, not even... attempting to have fun, just wanting to, and it was just like, and the kid's like, "What's going on, Dad?"
Yeah.
I can't do much about it.
I need a safer car.
And that was so I went from that to the RS3. So because I was like,
they were renowned that era of BMW, even in the 1 Series 2. Were all renowned to just be absolutely just turbo would just kick in at the wrong time.
It's the twin turbo, the low down torque. And the minute it would kick, you'd just go.
I think the G80s are actually worse at that now because that's why they're spinning out. Because what people are saying is in the X-Drive, when they, like, let's say someone's driving on the highway, I've seen it lots of times, they put their foot down and it just goes down through the gears so quickly that the back tyres are spinning that fast, they just lose traction.
And then when they grab,
correct. Yeah. So it's happening in the G80s, I haven't seen that many of the prior facelift ones doing it, but the G80s, like, it's notorious, they're all just losing and they're in the wall. But
good job.
Responsible to buy an RS3.
Yeah, it was. That was the responsible choice after that. Exactly right, and that did me for a little while until I moved that one on as well. But recently I think I found the M2 actually pretty good as far as putting power down. You could still have a bit of fun and you still get, but it was what I noticed with the F80. It seemed to be. Well, this was just my personal experience, but it was nearly like it was a really lazy rear diff. So, like, by the time you would, like, put your foot down and it had gone, it would go boom, and you were like this before the diff. Oh, actually, no, we should probably maybe now try to adjust things and bring you back. But by then I was already, like, fully locked up. Whereas the M2, I could kind of get out a little bit, still feed power, and it would kind of just correct me a bit, give me it still for a bit of fun. And that was the big difference for me. I feel like the G87 actually did a pretty good job about giving you access to the power and actually being able to use it.
I really enjoyed your M2.
Yeah,
I really enjoyed it. It was just, like I said, it's very manageable.
Yeah, correct.
Like, when you wanted to have a bit of fun, you're like, oh, yeah, I can do this.
Yeah.
I've driven F80s.
You felt like a king in it because you could literally be sideways. I would come around and play this like this and just man, I'm like, oh, this is like...
I'll tell you what the most scariest car that I've ever driven is. SL63 AMG.
Ooh!
Yeah. I think I remember you telling me this story, but tell it again, Sam.
So... I was young, I worked for my cousin, and he had an array of cars. Stupid array of cars. Sick cars. It was an awesome time of my life, bad time. Really thank my cousin for giving me a job at that time and letting me experience those cars. He had an SL with the performance pack, so this carbon ceramic brakes and all that. And I was recently driving the day before his Porsche 911 Turbo S. And his Turbo S, you go around a corner, you take it sideways, the car would go sideways, you'd be like, yeah, cool, and then it would straighten up. It was so easy. Like, so easy just to go sideways, have fun with it. It would literally just be a very enjoyable car, and everything would be very controllable. I thought I could do the same thing with the SL63. So I turned onto the M2, the highway, and I was just like, I'm just going to hit it, because you go down on the on-ramp, you're like, I can actually accelerate here. Yeah. So I just hit a little bit to come out of the corner to get onto the M2, and the thing just went like that. Ooh. And I almost turned, and I thankfully snapped it back to straight, and I went, no, I'm not doing that again. I was like, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that again. That thing was just...
Yeah.
And it was just, honestly, constantly... But even like what Nick was saying with F80, this was worse than SL. You didn't do anything. You just kind of hit the throttle, and the arm would just come out, even in the dry. It didn't even have to be wet. It would just go, vroom, and you'd be like, what the hell's going on here?
Yeah. For me, I don't hugely get a lot of fun out of that. No. To be fair, personally, I don't mind getting sideways, have a bit of fun, but when it's like that...
every day.
Imagine driving that thing every day. You just feel like you're on the edge of the limit and it's sketchy.
Yeah. No, I will say the G80 is the same. Like, when I drove out of the dealership, I put it in M2 and I didn't realise that
yeah, they limit the traction straight away on the default M2.
Traction's all the way off, and it was pouring down rain. And I never had a rear-wheel drive car, and I thought, this is cool. Like, I'll just drive it like I drive my AMG. Put my foot down, literally spun 360. It was so embarrassing, and I was shit scared of that car. And I've had it for 6 months now. I've always left the traction all the way on. I think the only time I've put it in MDM was like when it was like semi-dry, like on the track. And I was like, oh, but other than that, I leave the traction on. Like, I'm so scared of that car to even like, I remember when I went into MDM and it was like just raining a tiny bit. Went around the corner, put my foot, I just tapped the accelerator and it just slid. And I was like,
MDM still gives you a fair bit of play.
It does.
Like when I had the same thing, MDM on the G87, I never went traction off. If I was going to have any fun in MDM mode, because you still felt like you had some control.
Correct.
The minute you went traction off, you were like, this thing's just like, and you're like, I'm trying to catch it, but you just, it's so fast.
It's so dangerous.
It is sketchy as.
So that's all your cars. So what's so Sydney Cargo, tell us a bit about the business. So what's the idea behind the channel, like your Instagram and all that?
So I started SydneyCarGirl 6 months ago now. Just before I got the G80, because I basically went through a very personal stage in my life last year where I was kind of like having this quarter-life crisis. I was struggling with a bit of depression. I was like, I'm not really sure like who I am or what I'm supposed to be. So I was kind of grappling with like my career choices and what I was going to do. And someone just said to me, why don't you do like a car page? Like, you love your cars. And I was kind of struggling with, I was so young and I'd had this AMG and everyone was like, how did you do it? How did you afford that? Like, I felt like I was constantly being judged for my decision of the car I was driving. So
but that's just tall poppy syndrome of Australia.
Exactly, of Sydney. So I fell out of like the car scene for a little while, and then my friend was like, look, why don't you come back into it and have a car page? So that's always been my passion, and I felt really empty for those 6 months where I wasn't doing anything in the car scene or getting involved. So that's when I thought, all right, I'm going to get myself another car. I'm going to start just making random videos like and putting it online. And it's in the last 6 months it's picked up quite rapidly, which is amazing, and I didn't really expect it to pick up that well.
Obviously you're doing something right.
So I thought, look, there's not a lot of girls in Sydney with a G80 that are driving like a manual car, so I was like,
100%.
It's a bit of an
think you're unique for sure in that.
I don't think there's, I don't know if I can say it, but I don't think there's many girls doing car stuff in general in Australia. Do you know what I mean? Worldwide, yes. But in Australia, like,
and a lot of the like supercar Blondie is massive now. She's in Dubai. Like, there's a lot of girls that have moved overseas that are doing big content, but there are not a lot of girls like in Sydney, especially, that are like in the car scene. And my whole thing was I wanted to start bringing people together and like meet people
promote the car scene,
because I feel like it's really like died a little bit.
It's exactly what we're doing. That's exactly what so it is 100%. You're 100% right. The car scene in itself is in a very weird state. So like we've said off camera, you go to events where you have to pay, which is a bit odd. But then there's other events where you don't.
Free,
and I feel like there's a lot of judgment in events too, as well. People bring cars and people judge. We shouldn't be about that, guys. So
about your passion for the...
so speaking to you all out there, it's not about whose car's better, if that person brings a crap. So someone's car that you might think is a pile of crap might be their legitimate passion.
Their pride and joy. They love
that's why we opened the Pride and Joy channel, because it's about interviewing people with cars they have spent time and like sweat, blood and tears to build something or to buy something. What they think is the best car.
Something unique, different. Doesn't have to be expensive. Doesn't have to be cool. Exactly. It's just something that
they're passionate about.
Correct. And that's what we love.
And that's what we love. And that's what the car scene should be about. Like some guy might have a Mark 7 Golf GTI that's modded to the crap house, and you might think it's a bucket of crap. But he's spent he loves it. And that's awesome. That's what we should be embracing, not judging people for their cars. Like, you know, if you don't personally like a car, that's absolutely fine.
And look, we've heard some stories of people who have had cars out at events and things, and some of the comments and nonsense they get from people looking at their cars. I
had some the other day. Like, I went to Double Bay. I've never been to Double Bay on a Sunday morning to look at cars, but apparently I think White Rabbit was closing down. There was like McLaren Sydney was sponsoring it. There were cars everywhere. It was amazing. I went to park my car in between two very nice green sports cars. It must have been a McLaren and a Lamborghini.
Yep.
And I had someone stand in the middle of the road and tell me, oh no, this is supercar parking only. You can't park here. It was a public car park. And I was like, what? And I lost it. I was like, no, I literally I just need to park here so I can go across the road and have breakfast.
Oh my goodness.
And then I went and parked around the corner and walked 5 minutes.
So that's wrong.
As I parked my car, I had some guys commenting, what an ugly colour, why would you buy a G80 in that colour? It's not even an extra, blah, blah, blah.
That's what we're saying. What is this?
Yeah, it's a really negative and there's
the best is people commenting on your cars that don't even own your car.
Correct.
Or can't even own your car.
Correct.
It's just wait a second. You're commenting on a car that one, first you can't own.
Exactly.
And second of all, that you don't even own.
Correct.
So what advice am I going to take off you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think, the whole point
true.
of SydneyCarGirl, and I think Motor Marble and what you're doing as well is to really promote that car scene, to make it a bit more positive and so that people come together and share their passion. It's 100%. Not about who's got the most expensive car, who's got the most, flashy car, whatever. It's bringing people together to really showcase their drives and their builds and whatever really makes them happy. So
that's awesome. And I've seen your content. I love the content.
Oh,
it's
thanks.
great. It's awesome. Do you know what I mean? And it's awesome to see more people doing it.
Yes.
Do you know? I'm all for helping others in this scene do well because we need more people. We need more people explaining about cars, talking about cars. Correct. More than just reviews. More than just, let's just do a car review and that's it. No, let's actually do car reviews. Let's actually go to car scenes. Let's go to events. Let's push the community out there so young ones can enjoy it. Because at the end of the day, I want young kids who have the Ferrari poster on their wall or Lamborghini, get in one.
Well, that's what we had, right? We grew up with that. You're probably the same. You were around cars, you had the posters, you had the family history, all that. And then look now, you're involved in it.
Exactly.
And I think that's not as much anymore. So if we can keep doing that a bit more. 100%.
All of us have been very lucky to be in very high-end cars, right? I've been in a stupid amount of Ferraris, stupid amount of Lamborghinis, very expensive cars. And I always said to myself, at one point in my life, I want to get to a point where I can actually share this with others. Yeah. And get either myself to own them or friends of mine to show it to kids. Yes. Because kids should enjoy it. Kids should aspire to this. They shouldn't just be like, well, no, they're locked in a shed, never going to see them. Unfortunately, that's it. And you know what I mean? And I think what you're doing is fantastic.
Thank you.
And and it's awesome. It's awesome to see that the community is starting to, readjust and change.
I think what I've loved the most is I've actually had so many, not kids, but younger people, 18, 19, 20, Natasha, you're only 25, 26, you've had all these cars, what do you do? Tell me about your story. How'd you get into cars? How can, and they ask me, how can I, strive to have, my favorite car one day? It doesn't matter what it is.
That's fantastic.
And that's me, really, not coaching them, but just talking to them about, hey guys, what's your path look like? What's the path look like for you to have your dream car? Because, cars are not cheap. It doesn't matter what sort of passion you follow, but you do need to fund it somehow. Yeah. And so, a lot of us have side hustles and things that we do to be able to enable us to achieve our goal, whether it's car related or not.
Correct.
So I've really enjoyed talking to a lot of people and I think they're finding it a little bit inspiring to know that, I actually did have to work for what I have and the cars that I bought them myself and I had to, my family are in motorsport, but they never said to me, hey, we're going to go buy you the AMG or the M3 or a Porsche GT4. The next car for me will be the GT4 RS in the next near future. And I know that I'm doing that because that's something I love and it's not someone just giving it to me and saying, hey, drive my car or you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think that's a lot of younger
inspiring
people
as well for people. Yeah, younger people who will look at you and see that and that you see that there's a journey there to be had. And that you can get to some. Yeah, it's possible. And you're helping them realise that too.
Yeah, so. I remember someone in school said to me once, there was a Ferrari at the school, I think it was a Formula or something. And the teacher said, oh, you'll never have one of those. You know how much they cost? And I'm thinking, that mindset is the wrong
That's
mindset.
a wrong mindset.
The one thing that I've learned as well through investment banking and through cars, and they're very parallel in terms of it's not...
That's all right. Go on.
It's who you know.
Yeah, 100%.
You have to be well connected. And through these car communities, I've been honestly meeting so many different people, and it's given me opportunities career-wise as well. Yeah. Not just I'm meeting people you'll be look at these brands. There's so many different opportunities that come about from being in the car.
Look, it honestly is. It's not what you know. It's who you know.
Correct.
And at the end of the day, your personality too. If you're a genuine person and not just a complete dinkus,
you can know people, but they won't have anything to do with you.
If you're an absolute arsehole. But I don't think you have that issue at all. No. Do you know what I mean?
I love getting out there. I love talking to people. Like, I had this kid said to me the other day, "Can I get your autograph?" I'm like, "What?" I'm just like everyone else. I'm not famous. I'm just doing car content. Like, talk to me. Let's just like all like be really open and
look, it's awesome. Like, it's awesome to see. Like, I think you've actually hit a part of the market which is open, and it's great. And it's great to see that's happening. And that's what I love seeing this. I love seeing people actually follow their passion and actually get somewhere with it. So it's awesome. Yeah. But the G80, going back to that, have you tracked it?
I have, yes.
And what's the best time you got on that?
Slower than the A45, probably because of the manual. It was like a minute 50, minute 52. To be fair, I really struggled, if I'm being honest, in the M3. It would
be.
There was so much going on. It was like.
I was going to say the difference I find with cars like that is you can take the A45 out there. Yeah. And you'll feel confident. Yeah. You'll take the G80 out there, and you just won't have. It's the confidence thing. I've driven the cars too. I've had an A45 out there. I've had the M3 out there. I've done a lot of cars out on the track. Yeah. And for me, that's the biggest thing. Yes. Is the car confidence. Because you probably could drive the G80 or quicker. Correct. But you would have gone out there probably already with a little bit of, oh shit, I know what this car can do. Exactly. Whereas the A45, you're like, I can just throw this thing around corners that will do it. Exactly. You've got the confidence there.
What did we do in the I-30N?
52?
I did a 51. You did a 49, didn't you?
No, that was what I was aiming for. I think you did a 54 and I did a 52 or something.
No, I did 50 something. No, you did I'm 100% sure you did a 49.
I don't remember.
Or a 50. I did a 52.
That was
manual. I did a 50. I did a 52. I think my fastest time was a 52 point something.
They're awesome cars.
Yeah, he did.
Real track cars.
Well, I've done a few more Ks than you out the track.
Yeah, you have. That was, to be fair, that was my first time out there.
Yeah. You did?
I've never done S&P ever. Okay. Wow. There's been opportunities obviously down the line when I've had cars, and then unfortunately I've sold the cars before I had track day. Yeah. But so I had a Mark 7 GTI and I was going to track that, which was tuned to the freaking limit. That thing was dumb, right? Didn't get traction in first and second gear. You'd bunny hop everywhere. It was dumb, right? But it was awesome, and it had a straight pipe exhaust. It was loud. When you changed gears, it sounded like a shotgun. Oh my God. It was super loud.
He was one of those guys.
I was behind my mate. He was on the Harley, right? Because we went to Bondi, I remember at the time. He was on his Harley, and I was behind him, and I opened the valve to make it a straight pipe. Yeah. No one looked at the Harley because of how loud my Golf was. It was just like, rah, bang, and everyone was like, what the fuck was that? It was dumb. That was a dumb car. Yeah. But it was my first time out there, and when I went out there, it's funny because when I first went out there, Nick watched my first ever time, which was shit. Right? It's because I was trying to wrestle the car, and Nick goes, "Just don't be ADD, relax." And it did. I went to relax, and I just
smooth as fast.
Felt the car, felt the process, just and then the time was drastically different. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? That's mad. That's pretty good taking the G80 there.
It's just, I think it was a lot.
It takes a lot of balls to the G80.
It was a lot. I mean, I definitely didn't get up to the speeds that I did on the straight. Like, I think on the straight, my max was 250 in the AMG. I think I got like 220, 230 in the M3. But I was just through turn one. I was so scared. I was shitting it. And it wasn't until Justin...
Risha?
Yes.
Justin!
He's amazing. Yeah.
He's done a lot of stuff with me as well.
Yeah. Justin took me out in his GT3 when he had the RS.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, that was awesome. There you go. Yeah.
Yeah, he jumped in the car, and I've known him for a while now. Jumped in and he's like, "Tasha, right, we're gonna go for a few laps." And I thought I could drive, but I mean, the way he coached me was incredible. So I think I dropped a few seconds just by having.
That's one thing I say to pretty much anyone that I'm ever out of the track on. Like, the biggest improvement you'll ever get is just throwing in a driver coach straight away.
Exactly.
Put Justin in for a few laps.
And it's safe to do that as well if you haven't done it before.
Yeah. You know, start learning the good habits and not the bad ones.
Yeah. Correct. Correct.
All right, well, I think that probably wraps it up for us, Sal.
That's about it. So. Natasha, thank you so much for joining us. I don't think this will be the last time we'll see you.
Do some more content.
But we really appreciate it. Guys, don't forget to like and subscribe. And Natasha's details will be in the description below. Go check out her Instagram. It's awesome. But other than that, we'll catch you on another episode of the Motor Marvel podcast.